What's up guys, my name's Hakim Sulaimani, owner of Yafa Cafe in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Today we're going to be making Khaliat Al Nahl, which roughly translates to honeycomb buns. We call these honeycomb cakes because they resemble a honeycomb in terms of their shape and the glaze of honey that gets poured right over them. So one of the things I love about food is that it's geography and history and art all kind of in one. A lot of people don't know, but Yemen used to be two countries before 1990, and with the integration of both countries into one, a lot of new recipes kind of started to flow from north to south, including these honeycomb cakes. So there's a lot of different renditions of it, including a diaspora rendition, which is what we're going to be making today, with cream cheese instead of the traditional kiri pasteurized cheese. The first step in our process is making our honey. So to make the honey, you typically start off with toasting your cardamom pods. After you've got these bad boys nice and toasted, they'll start to kind of open up. We're going to be letting these steep in the honey for about 2 weeks. So we're just gonna have them get in there. So you're gonna wanna make sure the honey is covering all your cardamom pods. So after 2 weeks, you should get this super decadent, aromatic honey. We're gonna start with our dough. What we're gonna do first is start with our sugar, and then we'll go ahead and add our yeast. And we've got our milk. So you just wanna stir this, give this a little stir, incorporate all the sugar. Make sure your yeast has enough to live off of. So while our yeast ferments, we're gonna start making the rest of our dough. What I've got here is some flour, just incorporate baking powder, salt, sugar, vegetable oil. All right, we're gonna give this just a quick little incorporation with our hands. About this point, our yeast mixture should be ready to go. Next, we're gonna add our milk, and you wanna kind of just add this slowly. Also use it kind of just to wash my hands. So the kneading process is usually pretty quick. If you put your elbows into it, it shouldn't take too long, about a minute or so of kneading. You want this to be kind of bouncy in texture. So at this point, our dough is just about fully incorporated, and what you're looking for is kind of that bounciness, stickiness, and it should just kind of come right out without giving you too much of a problem. This is literally the easiest dough recipe you'll make. I'm gonna go wash my hands. We're gonna cover this guy with a towel and give it about 2 hours to rise. Now we're gonna move to our filling. Amazing thing about these dough balls is they can be filled with just about anything. Today we're gonna be using cream cheese, keeping it a little bit Brooklyn traditional vibe. We're gonna divide this into 24 pieces. We're looking to get about 24 dough balls to stuff them with. And you just wanna make sure your cream cheese is always cold. So we've got these cut. We're just gonna roll them into little balls to match our dough. We're gonna reshape those dough balls and get the cream cheese that's inside it more well-shaped. Okay, so now that we're done with our cream cheese balls, our dough should be proofed. We're gonna go ahead and grab that. See right over here, we've got this guy. Bounces back, doubled in size, but we punched a lot of that air out. Just go ahead and dump this guy right on our countertop. I'm gonna go ahead and oil our hands a little bit, and we're just gonna roll this guy out into a large log before we start cutting it up. It's about 24 pieces. The dough isn't too firm. It does give a little resistance, but your knife should kind of just cut right through it pretty clean. So we're just gonna roll out each of these pieces, set them up for ourselves to use. So they don't have to be perfect. We're gonna go ahead and form these again around the cream cheese. Now that we've got our balls kind of somewhat formed, I'm just gonna go ahead and flatten them on our surface, just with the palm of our hands, and drop one of our cream cheese balls inside. Now you're just gonna wanna start closing it around from the edges. Make sure this gap is fully closed. You don't want your cream cheese coming out. And then just pinch off any of that extra dough. We've got our first ball. And from there, you just keep moving. So we've got our rounded pan here. We're just gonna go ahead and butter it so none of our honeycomb cakes stick to it. Now we're just gonna start putting these in. We're gonna start in the middle and just slowly kind of start to work your way around. The shape kind of creates itself naturally. So what you're gonna end up with are these big puffy balls that are all kind of connected together in this hexagonal honeycomb shape. I personally like to wash these before they go into the oven, but you can always wash them after. I'm using just butter here, but you can also use egg wash. You can also use just plain sweetened condensed milk. Now that we've got our butter wash on, we're gonna start topping these. We're gonna go a bit heavy with the sesame seed, just a good amount on each one. Now we're gonna add our black seed, and we wanna use these guys sparingly. Just add a couple pieces right in the middle there, give it a little bit of color, sort of a surprise finish bite. So now these are ready to go into the oven. We're gonna put them in at about 400 degrees until they're golden brown. That's usually about 20 to 30 minutes for me. Well, so that's the color you're looking for, this very dark golden color. We're ready to get our drizzle of honey now. I've got my cardamom honey here. I'm gonna start by getting rid of all the cardamom. And if your honeycomb cakes are warm, it'll help a lot of this honey spread easier. We're just gonna drizzle this around, a little bit on each one. All right, cool, so now that we've got these drizzled, we'll go ahead and grab one of these. And even though they're all together, you should be able to kind of just grab an individual piece. If you look inside, we've got this very light, fluffy interior and a beautiful soft exterior. And our cream cheese is still relatively formed, but soft, not too melted. This is such an easy recipe to make. You guys need to try it. It's especially great to share. I unfortunately don't get to taste it. It's the 6th day of Ramadan and I'm fasting, but I do have some friends to help me out.
All right, let's try this. The sweetness of the cardamom, the tartness of the cream cheese, it's so good. And this is like a little pillow. It's delicious.
Oh, it smells so good. That cardamom and that honey are just singing. I'm just gonna keep eating. Bye.
The seeds give it such a good texture. I am totally making this for my next brunch. I love this.